Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to amend the sky to get a bit more detail back out of the flat or boring sky that you've been out and you've taken. But the scenery itself works well, you just need the sky enhancing just a little bit more. Now it's not one of them videos that's going to show you how to replace the sky or do dramatic stuff, it's just a subtle way of doing it to bring back some detail into the image itself. So let's start by using the graduated filter tool, which is at the top of the tab of Camera Raw. The reason why I'm using Camera Raw is the same technique can be applied in Lightroom or any other software program you've got that's RAW related, or any other software that you've got that can amend or do this type of procedure on any of your images. So with this, I'm going to select the graduated filter. As you can see, once I've left clicked on this, there's a cross that appears. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the control key and pull down with the left mouse just over halfway of the image itself, and then let go. And then as you can see now, the color of the sky has changed from like a grayish to like a bit of a blue, but you can just start to see now some cloud formation in the sky itself. Now, don't worry about the tint or the cast of the colour that's over the image, because we're going to change that a little bit later on. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the exposure down slightly, because I want a bit more detail, a bit more dark standing out in the image itself. And highlights I'm going to drop all the way down. Doesn't really matter how much, because as you can see, all the highlighted bits that's blowing the picture out where you're not actually going to get the cloud definition in, it's bringing the cloud definition back in by dropping the highlights down. I wouldn't go too far, but I would just bring it down where it's just about noticeable in the skyline itself. Then go to clarity and boost up the clarity as well. It doesn't matter how high you go with this, but just don't overdo it, because obviously clarity is going to sharpen the image in the cloud line as well. But as you can see now, we're starting getting some cloud definition that's running around what wasn't there before. But as you can see, we've still got a problem with the castle and the sky, which is a bit blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the saturation down slightly just to take the edge off the blue itself. And as you can see now, the castle's come back into play. But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the colour, which is the box with a cross through it. I'm going to click on this, and on this image itself, I'm just going to test and see which works best for the sky itself. So I'm going to go for the light yellow. As you can see, it's there. But we can drop the saturation down on it on the slider that's there, which that works quite well actually. So I'm going to keep that, but have a play about with it yourself, because obviously you can go for a red, a purple, magenta, a cyan, whatever you want. The colours are there for you to pick and have a play with, so enjoy that. You can change the whole skyline itself. For this, I'm trying to keep it as natural as I possibly can to what we've seen, but by retaining and keeping some of the detail that was left in the cloud. So I'm going to click OK with that, and then what I'm going to do then is the defringe bit, I'm just going to boost up to about 10. And what the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want any halos going around the mountain or around the castle itself with a filter dropping into play like this. Shadows on this, I'm going to drop the shadows down a little bit, again because I want to try and keep and retain some cloud definition, which is there. So I'm just going to drop that down. I'm happy with that. Now, like I said, I'm not worried about the castle because we can change that in just a moment, which I'm going to show you next. Which on this one, I'm going to move across to the adjustment brush. Once the adjustment brush is selected, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop the brush and paint around the castle. And as you can see, it's gone dark because the settings are all there. But I'm going to bring the exposure up slightly. And the shadows I can bring up. And a little bit more. Drop the clarity down slightly because I don't want it overpowering the skyline itself. And the saturation can boost up a little bit on this because it's just selecting the actual castle itself. It's not selecting the sky now. And if you hold over it, you can see where I've painted with the adjustment brush, and it's just around the castle itself, which works out quite well. So that's brought it back into play. Once you're happy with this and you're quite content with how the sky looks, then you can take it into Photoshop, which we're going to do now by opening the image. And it'll take a moment to come in to Photoshop itself. I will put the picture and the image on Facebook if anybody wants to have a look at a finished image of it, then they can see it in all its glory. It's going to be on Landscape Photography for Beginners, which is on the Facebook channel there. Anybody can join, and it's quite an helpful site. There's quite a lot of people on there now. Right, okay, so we've got a few problems with dust spots on the sensor, so I'm going to use the spot healing brush and just dab over these spots, and that will clear these out of the way. So we've got a nice clear sky now. As you can see on this image now, the castle's gone back to how it was, but I've got a bit more detail in the sky itself. So with that, I'm going to go over to the burn tool, making sure it's set on shadows. It's at 6%. I'm going to bring that up slightly a bit more, not too much, about 8, I should imagine. Resize the brush a little bit so I can get a full sweep over the sky. And I'm just going to paint over the sky by holding the left mouse button down and just basically going over that skyline. Not too much because you don't want to overemphasize the cloud itself, and you don't want to make it look as false as what it was. But as you can see now, you're getting a lot more detail in the sky, in the cloud formation that's coming round. Also then go back to the burn tool, but change it to midtones now, but keep the midtones a little bit less because you don't want it overpowering the midtones itself of the sky. So I'm just going to drop that in as so, and then I'm just going to go to image, adjustments and levels, and I'm just going to bring that level up just a little bit and then drop the midtones down to about 96, 95. The reason why that is I'm just trying to balance the image out a little bit more. It might not need it, but I just thought I'd throw that bit in. Then I'm going to go to saturation, which is on the sponge tool, and it's on 13%. Don't like 13, we'll stick with 12. Making a bigger brush, and when it's on saturate, I'm just going to go over the grass just a bit, not too much, and the tree line in the background, like that. And it just gives a bit more depth throughout the picture itself. And you've got the sky now, so I'm quite happy with that. They've got a sign which is here on this side. So if I go back to the spot healing brush and just go over that, and then it just takes that sign off, and that's it. That's all you got to do. So I hope that video's helped people out. Until next time, thanks for watching, and bye for now.